Some of you may know that the Voting Rights Act was passed in part because of the national outrage at the lynching in Selma of the Unitarian Universalist minister James Reeb and another UU, Viola Luiso, who died that March. We remember them, along with Jimmy Lee Jackson, Jonathan Daniels, and so many others who lost their lives or who suffered physical or other kinds of injuries because of their commitment to democracy and to voting rights. Our Unitarian Universalist values today speak to an inclusive democracy. The Voting Rights Act was, and for what's left of it, remains the most effective and important tool we have to ensure that democracy is indeed inclusive. So, we have work to do. We have work to reclaim the mantle of our forebears, to demand that democracy be inclusive and just, to repair and rebuild and create a just and inclusive society. This is not the only thing Unitarian Universalists do, and it wasn't the only thing that Reverend James Reeb or Viola Luiso care about either, but it is part of the work. And it's an important part of the work as Unitarian Universalists that we do to create a society of our ideals. We labor in the short term to repair the damage, and we labor over decades and centuries to create a new society of justice. And so this morning, we're gonna sing one of Pete Seeger's songs, one that inspires us still today. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing out love. If I had a hammer, y'all, what would you do?
Ben, thank you. We're going to invite Frankie up, our special chalice lighter today. There he is. All right, want to stand up on this? Beautiful job. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from Unitarian Universalist Reverend Dr. Megan Visser. We enter this meeting house for kindness and comfort. May rough, worn hands and aching backs be healed. We enter this meeting house of hope for equality. May those who labor to survive live to know justice. We enter this meeting house of love and vocation. May our bonds of solidarity be strengthened. Pam Fodor, our Director of Programs, will now lead us in our time for all ages.
All right, come on up, friends. Hi. Did you just get here? Oh. How was soccer? Good. All right, I have a super awesome book today, and it calls for a little bit of audience participation. So, what sound does a typewriter make? Click, clack, click, clack. And what sound does a cow make? All right, so your part is click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. All right, and you'll see when to chime in. Click, clack, moo, cows that type. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. It was bad enough that cows had found the old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets? No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note on the barn door. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Cows that type? Hens on strike? Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are clowns. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door and we will send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a pretty good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come with the typewriter. But the next morning, he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks. Click, clack, quack. Click, clack, quack. Clickety, clack, quack. The end. Please join in singing out our friends.
That's one of my favorite children's books, and I credit it for why one of my children actually is a strong socialist. There's always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there are printed copies downstairs. If you'd like to receive News and Notes, stop by the welcome table in the living room in the back. Couple of announcements. Today, we have our Beltane celebration. Beltane is the beginning of summer celebration on the traditional European calendar, and UCH has an annual tradition of, speak of the Beltane. You may. How can we say no?
Good morning, my friends, and welcome on this beautiful Beltane day. We're watching the weather very closely. If it's drizzling, how many people would, in the rain, want to dance around the maypole? Okay. If it's raining by the time church is over, we will enact a different plan. We're praying to the gods of the rain.
And And one other quick announcement. On May 17th, we are having a special social justice brunch, and we would love for everybody to attend. Swamini has been coordinating this for us, and if you have any questions about it, you can ask her, but we ask for your support both for the social justice program and for our awesome, awesome intern. Many of us came to this church and Unitarian Universalism generally, in part because we seek a community in which to grow and learn and live out our values, because we find affirmation in service, because we recognize that what we do matters, what we say makes an impact, how we move and work in the world resonates throughout the fragile, resilient web of life. Our financial contributions to this congregation help write the stories that we want to tell, both to each other and to the world. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and for our world. Now let there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we thereby write the story of love and of hope. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with the people around us, and with all the world. We now gratefully receive your contribution and thank you in advance for your generosity.
Jamie, I love my church. I'm serious. You know, we got a church where, you know, on one hand, we're talking about how cows and hens need to go on strike, and I personally think they should not have given the typewriter back. And I think the duck needed the diving board because workers should have some perks. And then you've got someone walk up in like a Green Man costume. And then we're regaled with this amazing, amazing music. Because that's life. We bring all the pieces of ourselves, the pieces of us that laugh and enjoy our life, the pieces in which we understand that our hearts are broken in our own lives and for our world. And we come together like in a container. I think this is a sanctuary for those seeking their own answers to questions of faith. This is a sanctuary for voices lifted up for peace and justice. This is a sanctuary for those seeking companionship in their struggles and their journeys. So a sanctuary is a container in some sense, but the door opens and we bring the nurturance that we receive here, the inspiration, the community, the camaraderie, and we bring that out into the wider world. And then we bring back what we learn, and we're enriched by each and every one of you in this place. So take a breath with me. I invite you to go ahead if you'd like and do that again. If it's comfortable for you, just breathe and be for a moment. As we move into the time of our service where we name our joys and our sorrows, our loves and our losses, our aspirations for ourselves and for our world, knowing that the breath connects us all, each to each, in this web of life, that spider, those rescue animals, our immigrant community, workers, teachers, people all around the world, the people of Gaza and Lebanon, all who are affected by war. We know that our world is one world. So I invite you to sing that with me right now. Offer an opportunity for folks to come up and share a joy or a sorrow. The way that we do that, which I tell you every time, is by dropping a pebble. Each one is unique, signifying the uniqueness that you each are. And there's a solidity to stone, right? Grounds us. We drop that into a common bowl that holds us like the seas that wash around us all. And you can go ahead and drop a pebble in silence if you would like, or if you would like to drop a pebble and share with us briefly your joy or sorrow. I invite you, if you have something to share verbally or in silence, to come on up.
A couple nights ago, Joe and I visited our longtime members, Ron and Norma Solberg. They are so happy in their new residence. Their apartment overlooks a lake. They know just about everyone, dozens of people, and I mean known. They're not acquaintances, they're friends. They have a chef, marvelous Italian man who grows his own vegetables on the premises. Ron organized a King's 3 march in their community. We've lost them, but they are so happy.
I'm dropping a pebble for Jean Parvin, our beloved member who is in the hospital right now. His son-in-law is visiting him, so many of our folks are visiting him as well. So this is for Jean. Oh, okay. You can drop it for Jean. Go ahead. All right. Well.
Okay, yeah, Reverend Beth just kind of said what I was going to say, but I just would like to ask everyone to hold Gene in your hearts. Some of you know he has been ill for several weeks, and he had some very serious complications this week. And, you know, he needs all of our love right now.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
I'm Keith, and I have two sorrows and a note of gratitude. The first sorrow is our neighbor, Steve, a good friend, passed away from cancer at the age of 60, far too young. The second sorrow is another friend, Lori, who is dealing with end-stage cancer and has been admitted to hospice care. This is for her comfort. And finally, Jacqueline has been in and out of the hospital the last 2 weeks, and we've been unable to get a solid diagnosis. Well, finally, a team of skilled cardiologists determined that she had a suboptimal heart rate, and so she had a pacemaker implanted Thursday. So she's home, doing better but feeling discouraged. But I'm grateful that we have a diagnosis and a plan of treatment moving forward.
So what would have been Pete Seeger's 100th birthday is all around us if you look, and close to home. Mr. Seeger's last major performance in Chicago was in the spring of 2002 when he accepted a Living Treasure of North America Heritage Award from the Prairie Earth UU Fellowship. The Prairie Earth UU Fellowship was born of this church in Evanston. Something to be proud of.
Hi, I'm Jill. A couple weeks ago, I announced a joy of landing a full-time job, but now I'm sharing a sorrow. Yeah, they rescinded the job offer, so I'm back to looking for a job. I know, right? And it also, gonna leave it at that, but AI is to blame for it. But anyway, my joy is that we have a great boss over here to help our vegan bake sale, Pat. She's doing a great job while Tiff and Jean are in the on Panama, thank you. So come on downstairs to our bake sale, and it helps Roxy's farm. Thank you.
My joy is super cheesy. It's this place. When you said we are transformative, not performative, that really hit. Every week I come here with a heavy heart, and every week I leave with it lifted, being reminded that I'm around all these wonderful people. Thanks. I'm such a wiener.
Hi, I'm Leo. I just want to point out something historic and amazing that happened yesterday. And if anybody watched the Kentucky Derby yesterday, this horse by the name of Golden Temple came all the way from dead last to win the race. And he was trained by a lady trainer. Her name is Sherry DeVoe. It's the first woman in 152 years to win the Kentucky Derby. And when the two met after the race, she kissed him on the nose, and the horse just smiled like he knew he was a stud, you know?
For the joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Holy One moving in, through, and among us. You are as close as our breath. You are our breath. As we move from this place, from this time, we carry with us, holding in our hearts and in our prayers, all who have suffered loss, uncertainty. We carry in our hearts all who have joys. We carry in our hearts all who have found a home. May we hold in our hearts all who are yearning for home, that we may be a place of community, of love, and of care, of peace, and of justice. And you, each of you, remember, you are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. I have 10 minutes. Please sing again. Our world is one. Friday saw tens of thousands of people in the U.S. take to the street for May Day, International Workers' Day. More than 3,000 events took place across the country, with teachers and labor unions leading the marches nationwide, and thousands more across the world. This year's theme, Workers Over Billionaires, reflected the growing frustration of rising costs for gas and groceries as wages have remained largely stagnant. Marches also carried signs decrying the war in Iran, with the billions of dollars spent in the rising costs, saying this money should be used to improve conditions in our country. Links were made with oppressions experienced globally. Unitarian Universalist clergy and lay folks, some came and joined. 2 folks from our congregation, thanks for coming, Ann, made it to Union Park for the interfaith service that I, with other faith leaders from around Chicago, participated in, naming that God's love knows no borders and that God cares for workers. The Spirit of life and love cares for workers. Then there was a rally and a march that followed. Having been involved in worker justice for close to 2 decades, it was heartening and healing to pray and sing and march and chant with those who are calling for justice for workers. I marched with Arise Chicago, the immigrant worker justice organization, but ICER was there, the Illinois Coalition for Immigrants and Refugee Rights. Now, Linda got this poster for me, and this poster is in one of the pictures. I think it's in that picture right there. Communities, not war. Fund communities, not war. Workers over billionaires. Now, I want to tell you, Linda got this poster at a Bruce Springsteen concert the other day. Good for you. Thanks for representing. I like to tell the story of May Day each year. And I should say that I also follow the Celtic Wheel of the Year and Beltane. They can come together, because at Beltane we dance the maypole with intention. It is a time of new beginnings, of flourishing. And so you can bring that intention to that. But especially since it originated here in Chicago and is memorialized at the Forest Home Cemetery in Forest Park. Pat and Sandy from Emma's Revolution made a pilgrimage to the cemetery when they visited here. Many of you may know the history of International Workers' Day. It commemorates the historic struggle of working people throughout the world. It's recognized in every country but the United States and Canada. This despite the fact that the holiday began in the 1880s in the US with the fight for an 8-hour workday. Work 8 hours, rest 8 hours, 8 hours for what you would do. That's why I think the duck deserves a diving board. I was helped in this history by I.L. Gaylord, whose deep history, I won't go into the whole thing. But in 1884, the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions passed a resolution stating that 8 hours would constitute a legal day work from and after May 1st, 1886. The resolution called for a general strike to achieve the goal since legislative methods had already failed, with workers being forced to work 10, 12, and 14 hours a day. Rank and file support for the 8-hour movement grew rapidly, despite indifference and hostility from some union members. Leaders, rather, not members, leaders. It's been complicated, y'all, and I won't go into it right now. But there's always been tensions in the labor movement. But what I see now is the labor movement truly coming together. And that was borne out. That was borne out yesterday and across the world. By April 1886, 250,000 workers were involved in the May Day movement. As I said, the heart of the movement was right here in Chicago, organized primarily by the International Working People's Association. Businesses in the state were terrified by the increasingly bold character of the movement and prepared accordingly. They knew, as we know now, what happens when workers unite. The police and militia were increased in size and received new powerful weapons financed by local business leaders. Chicago's Commercial Club purchased a $2,000, this is in 1800s, okay, machine gun for Illinois National Guard to be used against strikers. Nevertheless, by May 1st, the movement had already won gains for many Chicago clothing cutters, shoemakers, and packing house workers. But on May 3rd, 1886, 140 years ago today, police fired into a crowd of strikers at the McCormick Reaper Works factory, killing 4 and wounding many. A mass meeting was called for the next day in the Haymarket Square to protest the brutality. The meeting proceeded without incident, and by the time the last speaker was on the platform, the rainy gathering was breaking up with only a few hundred people remaining. It was then that 180 police marched into the square and ordered the meeting to disperse. As the speakers climbed down from the platform, a bomb was thrown at the police, killing 1 and injuring 70. Police responded by firing into the crowd, killing 1 worker and injuring many. Although it was never determined who threw the bomb, the incident was used as an excuse to really attack the entire left and the labor movement. And let me be clear here, I don't condone violence by any actors, including the state. Police ransacked the homes and the offices of the suspected radicals. Hundreds were arrested without charge. Some organizers were harassed. 8 of Chicago's most active were charged with conspiracy to murder in connection with the Haymarket bombing. A kangaroo court found all 8 guilty, despite lack of evidence connecting them to the bomb thrower. Only 1 of those people was even present at the meeting, and he was on the speaker's platform, and they were sentenced to die. Albert Parsons, August Spies, Adolf Fischer, and George Engel were hanged on November 11, 1887. Louis Ling committed suicide in prison. The remaining 3 were finally pardoned in 1893. It's not surprising that the state, business leaders, mainstream union officials, and the media would want to hide the true history of May Day. How many of you knew that history? Okay. Oh, good. That's good. Some of you did, some of you didn't. So I tell the story every year when I can. But rather than suppressing the labor and radical movements, the events of 1886 and the execution of Chicago organizers actually mobilized many generations of those who carried the intention to organize. Emma Goldman was a young immigrant at the time. She later pointed to the Haymarket Affair as her political birth, and she is memorialized as well at that cemetery in Forest Park. Instead of disappearing, movements only grew in the wake of Haymarket, spawning other movements and organizations, including the industrial workers of the world. But covering up the history of May Day, the state and business and mainstream unions have continued covering up the legacy of dissent. They're terrified of what an organized movement could accomplish today, and they suppress the seeds of organization wherever and whenever possible, and we see that happening now. We recognize May Day not only for its historical significance, but as a time to organize around the issues of vital importance to working people and to all people. The time will come when our silence will be more powerful than the voices you are throttling today. August spies from the gallows as he was hung. What we know is that May Day was celebrated here in this country, but then it was replaced by President Grover Cleveland with Labor Day because they didn't want the U.S. associated with the radical nature of workers coming together. The radical nature of workers coming together in order to improve conditions. So we know what the conditions are now. We know that the disparity between the rich and the poor has grown exponentially, the highest it's been. I think it's surpassed the Gilded Age. We know that unions are suppressed, we know that voices are suppressed, and we know that there is an intention to divide our communities, our immigrant communities, our Black communities, to divide workers. And so when we consider what does it mean to honor all workers, it means that we not only support unions, but we speak out and support the causes of workers, a living wage. I have lots of statistics that I'm not going to give you right now. Maybe just a couple. Maybe just a couple. I'm not going to do it today, but I'm going to put it in a blog to you. Because are you aware of the tier of billionaires, not only in this country, which has the largest amount of billionaires, but the tier of billionaires across the world that hold exponentially more wealth than the, quote, bottom? We all know and have heard about the, quote, disappearance of the middle class. We know that people are struggling everywhere. SNAP benefits have just been cut. That is going to mean that people in our communities, maybe not right here, maybe not right around here, but don't assume that it's not happening to your neighbors. Don't assume that it might be not happening to people that you know. Know that it is our call, our job, our work. The concerns of labor and income inequality aren't a quaint or passé relic of the past, or only a problem in other communities. The concerns of labor and justice are our concerns. This isn't an issue of right versus left, Democrat versus Republican, because both parties have used and been antagonistic toward unions and labor. Because both parties are beholden to corporate and billionaire class, they cannot, in fact, align themselves with the cause of workers, because the workers exist to create wealth for the wealthy while wages and benefits have steadily declined. So what can you do? You can join me and Arise Chicago. You can join Linda and the Immigrant Justice Task Force here, when the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. You can vote your values, shop your values, work to mitigate harm through mutual aid, Work to dismantle the pillars that uphold this system. Join the UCH Strategic Resistance Initiative because our work is needed. Speak up freely and courageously wherever workers are maligned and their cause is diminished, as we promote solidarity among workers of whatever race and whatever nationality. It's time to recognize that the struggles that we face are truly class struggles. This is not a time to demonize those with money who do good and share enormous profits in ways that contribute to the well-being and flourishing of all. Y'all billionaires or millionaires just keep spending it. We're not going to turn it down, but it is to name that the disparity between the rich and the not rich, because that's what it is right now, is unconscionable. For too long, some of us have been afraid, hampered by insinuations that to advocate for workers and policies that benefit workers, like universal health care, public education that is accessible to all, is to be on the wrong side of history, to be called a socialist. Friends, I let go a long time ago about worry about that label that is designated to keep others and myself quiet, to keep us speaking from the truth, naming this truth on May Day and in the days to come. All people have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. Water is not a luxury or a commodity. We have a right to water. Energy is not a luxury or a commodity. The world's people have a right to safe, renewable power. Education is not a luxury. It is essential for people to get engaged with the world around them and to participate in the means of production and the distribution of wealth. Healthcare is not a luxury. It is essential for humans to not only survive, but to thrive. Rest is not a luxury or a commodity. All people have a right to rest from their labor, to enjoy time off with their families, to live a reasonable life, to not have to work 2 and 3 jobs, simply to pay their rent when they can find a place to live. Art is not a luxury or commodity. Art is essential to have the right to, and along with that, right to rest and labor. Art is not a luxury. Art is essential to the heart and soul of the people as it contributes to beauty and also to the resistance that thwarts beauty. We need to let go in this country of being the richest country in the world, but strive to be the fairest and the most just to all people. We must, yeah, all right, you can clap for that. We must strive to hold common cause with all people everywhere who are laboring in unsafe and unjust conditions. We must live certainly from the fact of our interdependence. We are all workers, and all labor has dignity. It has been said, workers have nothing to lose but their chains. We have a world to win. Workers of all countries unite. And I say to reach the goal of the well-being and flourishing of all, to let go forth and to win a world of beauty and justice, equity, compassion, and boundless, boundless love. May it be so. May it be so. I'm going to invite you to join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Beloveds, as we go forth, the dream of a more just economy is not new. Lives in every worker who has ever said enough. It lives in every movement that insists dignity is not negotiable, and it lives in us if we so choose. So let us expand our vision. Let us imagine a world where work is not exploitation, but expression. Jamie, I think we're going to go all the way to the end. Our closing song is All You Fascists Bound to Lose. So, y'all, we're going to build a new way later. I mean, we're building a new way now. I didn't mean to dismiss building a new way, right? That was rude, right? We're like, oh, we're going to sing Building a New Way. We'll sing it another time. But right now, I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit and sing with me. Yes, you might be surprised. Join us for Dance the Maypole and your intention for yourself and our world. Buy vegan food and take care of animals. Love the hell out of this world.